So in terms of literary magazines, we hear a lot about the move to online, health of Australian writing. Is it that literary magazines are a thing of the past, or do they still have a place in today's world?
I think that the literary magazine is being rearranged, the shapes of it. Meanjin's experiments at the moment with online, I think, are experiments with shape and form and paradigm shifts and so on. But if I'm going to use the term literary magazine in its broadest sense, a small country with a relatively small population, which publishes in English and has to compete against Europe and America, always needs the avenues where new writers can get a leg up and can start and be encouraged. So if that's what you mean by a literary magazine, irrespective of online or hard copy, then I think we need them. Like, it just goes without saying. I mean, how can you have libraries without local writing in it? It's an oxymoron.
Yeah, I agree that, you know, there is still absolutely a place for literary magazines. You know, that I value them immensely, and not just because I'm lucky enough to work at one, but there is a sense and a perception, I think, and possibly a fair one, that they are for writers rather than for readers, and that's something that I think we need to acknowledge, that perhaps they're not finding a wide audience, although I think we know, you know, by and large Australian literary magazines don't find a wide audience. That's no surprise. And so I think there is a need to experiment with the form, as you were saying, and there are, I mean, you know, I'm pleased with what Meanjin is doing online, but there is, when you look online to what is happening in the States, and it's in the States particularly, but in England and other English-speaking countries as well, there is some truly phenomenal work going online that I don't think we've yet produced anything in Australia that competes with that online. And I think if we want the type of writing that literary magazines publish, if we want that to continue, then the future will be on the internet, and we need to up our game in that sphere, I think.
Leaving the internet out of it for a minute, because we could be here until next week on that one, I think. When we started this, isn't that a fantastic cover? Sorry.
It's a beautiful cover.
We should get the Golden Globe for the best cover in Australia, we really should. Where was I? Look, we started this, and my co-editor said to me, don't use the word literary. And I reacted against that at first, and then I realised what she was saying. She was saying in a way that the literary is so easily marginalised in Australia, and I feel that's really sad. And so in one sense we wanted to get readers for new writing, and that's the real issue, finding readers in whatever format, I think. All of this has been too circular and too marginal for so long. And that's why libraries have an enormous role to play. I'm really plugging this libraries line, aren't I?
Well, I mean, that's an excellent point. I think that if libraries do you know, and I think very few libraries do have sort of subscriptions to a wide range of periodicals and publications from Australia, you know. But it is a place where people can discover new writing in a way that, you know, picking something up in a bookshop, you know, they're not necessarily going to sit down with it and really get involved in a new publication like they have the opportunity to do in a library. But at the same time, it is, you know, I'm very aware that it's something that's quite difficult for libraries just, you know, financially to support subscriptions to a wide number of journals and periodicals, which is, you know, now I bring everything back to online, I'm sorry. But, you know, there are so many services, you know, like what RMIT is doing that allows access to such a broad range of publications that wouldn't be possible without digital and the internet.